So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. It seems like it's been an absolute age since we last had Premier League football, and I'm delighted it's going to be back this weekend, albeit that I'd prefer if it was a team other than Chelsea. But judging by some of the comments I see you guys put in the comments already, that people seem to be a small bit optimistic about this, and I suppose I would be optimistic, but I'd like a different team. The reason being is because myself and Paddy were just talking offline there. We haven't a bloody clue what we're going to get from Chelsea because we don't have a clue. There's no way I would be confident in naming even 6 guaranteed starters for Chelsea. Never mind trying to name their first 11.
Isn't it good that we don't have to worry about it? And Professor Unai Emery will be on the case, I'm sure, and he'll be watching who comes back from international duty and how we're doing. But yeah, I suppose the only one place to start is that we've lost a player who was on international duty, and we've seen there's going to be an injury to Matty Cash, which is going to rule him out for the next few games, unfortunately, and a big few games for him. I'm sure he would have loved to be playing against Forest, his old club, so he misses that opportunity. But look, these things happen with international duty, I suppose, and it's a good job we have some able replacements to step in there.
Yeah, it seems to have been a right back injury fest, I think, over the course of the last few weeks, because Reece James is going to be out as well for Chelsea. That's one thing I do know, is that he is going to be out because he was injured again as well. But yeah, on the Matty Cash piece, look, it was one of those ones that just a nasty injury. Like, when I say a nasty injury, it was just one of those kind of annoying injuries more so than anything else that he got. It was a grade 2 calf strain. Probably going to be out until, I think they said, probably for the next 3-4 games. Boubacar Kamara isn't likely to be back for this game either. So we'll still be playing with what I would imagine would be that narrow midfield. And to be honest with you, that midfield the 2 players that went on international duty that are going to be coming back into that midfield, in the likes of John McGinn and Jacob Ramsey, they can hold their heads high anyway after the last week they've had, because Jacob Ramsey captaining his country, and John McGinn having one of the most remarkable results, I think, of the whole international break, winning 2-0 against Spain. So they're going to be 2 guys who are going to be right on top of their confidence levels, and that only bodes well for Villa.
Absolutely. Yeah, and with one pointless journey as well, I suppose. Buendia going to Argentina and not playing any football, not such a bad thing in that he won't be. He'll be fresh, but I would have preferred he got some minutes out there because he probably deserves to get a run out. But that's life. Yeah, I haven't watched a whole pile of the games. I watched Scotland all right last night. And obviously I went to the 2 Ireland games over the last week or so. But other than that, I've been taking a break and getting some valuable work time done while there was downtime from football. But yeah, the games are going to come thick and fast. We have a game Saturday, game Tuesday, and then a game the following Saturday. So I'm sure we're going to have a busy 10 days podcasting, Neil.
Yeah, well, there's no rest for the wicked. In case some of you guys haven't seen, if any of you guys are interested in hearing me wonder about some right backs and right back type players that I think that Unai Emery might be interested in, you can go back and watch a scouting series that I did, all episodes 1 to 5. And there'll be some names that you might know, there'll be some names you mightn't know in there, but I like that exercise and it was nice and fun. And also last night we had a podcast with the Academy of AVFC, who you'll see on Twitter, the man who spends all his time cataloguing the academy. So you can go back, you can watch those if you haven't seen those already. Or
I enjoyed that one. I listened to that one on the way home from work today. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, he's
Well,
a good man, and we're going to try and get him on more and more often over the course of the off season and into next season as well. It's something we wanted to do for this season, and I had it all lined up, but it was just work commitments. I think for both of us who didn't allow it to happen. But getting back onto, I suppose, this game at the weekend, this Chelsea game at the weekend, and obviously, look, the biggest thing for Chelsea is that they've spent like drunken sailors, and the results have come back. So far, the results have come back, and they've been pretty underwhelming based on the facts that there was a time period where you thought they might never win again. It was draw after draw after draw after draw, and then they won, and then they drew again against Everton. And it's going to take time for them to click together if they ever click at all. But when you look at the team that they had out against Everton, Kepa was in goals. You had Fofana, Koulibaly, Badiashile. How would you pronounce his name? Badiashile. Is that how you pronounce it? Ben Chilwell,
Sheila, I think, yeah.
Enzo Fernandez, Reece James, Havertz, Felix, and Pulisic. All of them, bar Kepa, if I'm not mistaken, were on international duty. So and even if they weren't, even if somebody else wasn't, what I'm getting at here is that how is Graham Potter going to be able to gel that team when he spent 2 weeks away from them? Is what I'm saying. In comparison to the Villa team,
that's the important thing from our point of view.
Mm.
So we got the vast majority of our team playing friendlies, training together. They got a bit of a break as well. I saw Tyrone Mings out playing golf in Portugal. You know, absolutely brilliant. Great to get a few days off as well at this time of year. So our guys should be fresh enough, but then again, not going into the game cold either. There was a mixture of first team and underage playing against Bristol City Friday, was it? I think it was Friday, and then they were back in Bodymore Heat again today. Back to reality training. So we'll start to see the likes of Emi Martinez and Emi Buendia come back tomorrow with John McGinn. And yeah, we should be into a full complement of players by tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's, look, I suppose Unai Emery, we've seen what Unai Emery did with 48 hours training against Manchester United. Let's get him back into Bodymore for 48 hours, and let's get him through the paces again. But I think realistically, when you look at this Chelsea team, you know, Graham Potter, I think it's fair to have a discussion about him because, you know, he was the boy wonder of English football, and he should still be, because he didn't turn into a bad coach overnight. And that's for damn sure. But Villa fan himself, Graham Potter. But I think one of the biggest things that's kind of maybe gone wrong for him, or not even gone wrong for him, one of the things that he hasn't fully kind of stamped on yet in this Chelsea system is that, you know, that midfield diamond that he played all the time at Brighton. It was synonymous with his play at Brighton, really, was that midfield diamond where he would try and dominate the possession in the center of the pitch. It allowed him to control the tempo of games. But the big thing was that he'd found the players in that diamond that were able to create the chances by, you know, quick passing, quick movement. And it just hasn't translated into this Chelsea team. And it bloody should, because you've got brilliant players in there, like Kovacic, as I mentioned before, who else? Enzo Fernandez. You've got, like, no disrespect to Brighton, you've got players at a level different, a better level of player in here at Chelsea, and it just hasn't clicked yet. That midfield, Paddy, I suppose, is where I'm going to go to. Like, while it's got better players in it than we do, I definitely think it's an area that we can compete in at the weekend. And I think if we go and compete in that midfield area, even win, maybe like even win it 60-40, I think we'll go and we'll win the game, because it's such a big part of his tactical setup.
Yeah, look, you'll have Kovacic and Fernandez, yeah, kind of sitting in front of that five when they're defending is what it changes to, and then Pulisic and Felix, they're not really workhorses that are going to come back and do the work. So there'll be plenty of space there, I would imagine. But I would imagine we'll do a lot of the damage down the wing. I think that's how to get at these, because if we can hit them on the break with the two guys, I don't know who's going to play on the right now with James injured, But certainly Chilwell will definitely play on the left because they've another injury at left back, haven't they? He's the only fit one there, I think, at the moment. Can't remember who the other one was. Cucurella, is it?
Cucurella, my favourite. Cucurella.
Yeah. So yeah, he'll be God knows who's going to play. Well, Cucurella is fit apparently, according to this that I'm reading here. So he might play on the right hand side, would he?
Could do, yeah. They plop him anywhere. As long as he's on the team, I'm absolutely delighted.
Yeah. Sorry, it was Aspilicueta I was thinking of that's injured. So yeah. So no Thiago Silva, Sterling, Aubameyang, Mount, Mendy, Aspilicueta, or Broja. So if we had that injury list, we'd be in severe trouble with our squad. But it's look, it's there for the taking. I wouldn't be overawed by playing Chelsea, especially in the form that we're in. And it's one that I'd really love to win, just for the simple fact is that we get into the top half of the table and they can't fucking catch us till Tuesday.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things, Paddy, that's been spoken about, I think he's come back over the course of the international break, is N'Golo Kante. I'm going to be honest. There were times this season where I completely forgot he existed, and I, that's almost sacrilege because he's been probably one of the best holding midfielders in the Premier League since Claude Makelele. He might be back as well, and that might change the whole dynamic of that midfield, with Fernandes, Kovacic kind of lineup. It may even allow Graham Potter to play more of a resolute diamond in there. Do you think he might get some game time, or is it too soon for him? Hard to know, really. But
you'd have to think it's probably a bit too soon. It all depends, what I don't imagine there's any more players coming back injured from what I've read. So it's as you were. Whether he puts Kante straight back in there, I'm not too sure. I think it might take a little bit of game time. He might play him maybe for the last 20 minutes in games just to get him up to speed. It's probably, he's have to been out for so long, it's probably a little bit too soon to throw him back in to start with. So that's not something I'd be immediately worried about. I'd say we'll be focusing on the team that finished against Everton and whoever fits in for Dan James, which is more than likely Cucurella.
Reece James, yeah. And
Reece James, sorry.
Who obviously they went on that spending splurge, as I mentioned previously, and they like, there's a temptation for the football fan at large to turn around and go, "Oh God, I hope they kept their receipts for some of those players," because they spent a lot of money, and the return, in the short-term return, arguably hasn't been there. Who do you think has been the one that's panned out the best for them, Paddy? Since I haven't watched a pile of them since the transfer window closed, but who do you think is the one that's panned out the best for him so far?
Well, I think Felix is probably the one that's got the most amount of games of those that have come in. If I'm not mistaken, like he came in January, he's 9 goals and 9 games and 2 goals in those 9 games. He's probably been the best of what I've seen. I suppose the biggest disappointment has to be Mudryk. I haven't seen him have a decent game since he came in. I know Carney is there, but he's a lot further back than these guys that come in the winter transfer window. I wouldn't be surprised to see Carney in there at some stage. He has started getting the odd 15, 20 minutes in there. I know he only got 5 minutes against Everton, and they went and threw away the 3 points when they started making subs. They brought on Loftus-Cheek, Chabala. Is that how you say his name? Chalobah, and Carney, obviously, and they conceded an injury time to cost them the 3 points. So they're not settled. They could definitely be got at. And I'm hoping that a couple have come back with niggles and injuries, that will disjoint them a little bit more, given the fact that they'll only have 3 days with everyone together to get it right for the weekend.
Paddy, did you say Raheem Sterling was injured?
I did. Is he back?
Yeah. Okay, no, because I was just thinking, because it's just mind overactive there, and I was trying to think who would play at that right back position or who potentially could come in there, because he has fitted in as a right back. The match is
on the 1st of April, and it says he's due back early April.
That would be very early April, the 1st of April.
Very early April. Yeah,
that'd be very early April. But no, I was just thinking there then that he could be a surprise addition, and I'd hate to have him as a wing back there because against this Villa team, not that not that this Villa team won't be able to contain him, but it just gives another rapid attacking threat there. And like this, when this Chelsea team clicks, if it ever clicks, it could be frighteningly good because of all that talent that they have there. But we've seen this before with Chelsea when Chelsea had the likes of Shevchenko, Torres, Crespo, Mutu, all these brilliant strikers that they brought in. And yes, look, there was goals scored by those guys, but it took them a long time to kind of start revving the engine when they got to Chelsea, even though in some instances, like Torres, previously at Liverpool, he couldn't stop scoring. So sometimes there is a little bit of a handbrake effect with new players that come into the Chelsea squad at times, specifically when they start to splurge in situations like that. And long may it continue at least until the 2nd of April anyway. Looking towards the Villa team, Paddy, we try and stay away from talking too much about the Aston Villa team in these previews. The reason being is because we've got the team sheet tantrum and we focused almost solely on the Villa team then. But obviously we mentioned that Matty Cash is going to be out. We talked about Ashley Young being the able replacement there, and I would imagine he's going to be the man that's going to get the get the opportunity. But Diego Carlos is back now, obviously not back at full fitness. He's obviously going to come in on the bench again, and it gives us that option to be able to move an Ezri Konsa out to a right back, and bring Diego Carlos in there. Just that one player coming into the team. Obviously, if Matty Cash was fit, and this is hypothetical, that one player coming back into the team, it gives us a nice rounded number of players, I think, albeit we're missing a striker. But from midfield back, I think we've got a very nicely rounded squad size now when you think about Diego Carlos coming back. And it's just strange that one player coming back could even everything out.
Well, I think the big well, I don't think we're going to see Ezri Konsa starting a right back. I'll put that on the table straight away. But I wouldn't rule out that if Ashley Young was out of puff after 70 minutes, that could be the move. But the elephant in the room here is that we were more or less told that Boubacar Kamara would be fit for Chelsea. So we'll have to wait, obviously, until we hear from Unai on what does he do, Thursday or Friday? Away matches
he does Thursdays, doesn't he, for away matches? I know Dan Bardell is off to do a couple tomorrow. I think Unai's tomorrow as well, yeah? Not that Bardell isn't doing it, but...
but that seems to be what he does. So we'll have a better idea tomorrow because they normally travel to away matches the night before. But being a 5:30 kickoff and only London, maybe they won't. I've no idea how... We used to have a good idea as time went on with managers and what Gerrard used to do and what the previous managers did. But I've no idea what Emery does other than the fact that we see his press conference coming in a bit earlier for away matches. So we'll find out probably tomorrow or Friday anyway. But it would be great to have Kamara back. I think that would be the biggest boost that we could get ahead with this fixture. I think to have him back in there beside Dougie Luiz would really make my weekend.
The next question I'm going to ask, Paddy, and it's not... I'm going to mention somebody's name, but I don't want you to discuss him. I want you to discuss the other person, okay? And you'll know who I don't want you to discuss. I will discuss the positive, the player that went to Colombia or went away with Colombia and scored his first international goal. Do you think he's going to start instead of a man who went to Jamaica on international duty recently?
Short answer is no. And I just feel that it will... who knows? Maybe Forrest next week might be the one to throw him in there from the start. Just to put up that something different. I think he sees him as a little bit naive for a big game like Saturday. And don't get me wrong, this is a huge game. I reckon if we get ahead of Chelsea this weekend, we could stay ahead of them. That's the way I'm thinking anyway. I'm keeping the fingers and everything crossed. I'd love to finish ahead of Chelsea. But it's a huge game. It's a huge game. I think he needs to get right. And I don't remember us having too much change out of Chelsea in recent years, so it would be nice to go and get a good win there. Not that I'm predicting a win or anything. I'm still a little bit apprehensive of what Chelsea have to offer. I think anything is possible. But I think it's as good a time as any to go and get 3 points out of them, or definitely get a draw of it. But get Kamara back in there, and I'd be very, very happy.
And with Fulham playing Bournemouth, I know Bournemouth are second last in the table, but Fulham having their players banned at the moment as well. They're away at Bournemouth. We know how difficult it was to go to Bournemouth. They may not get a win there. We could jump into 9th position with a win at Chelsea, but we don't want to get too head out over the skis at the moment. But as John Steele says, at least Emery won't say that we should be expecting Chelsea to wipe the floor with us, and like the clown who was in charge just the last time we played him. And I think that's the real kind of overarching feature here, is that I've been saying it time and time again that we've been doing these is, you can have a genuine kind of hand on heart expectation to go and win games 1-0. Because that for me is really important, because that breeds confidence, because you're confident in the manager's ability to be able to set you up correctly. And as Miles Morris says there, absolutely, if Kamara is back, definitely Buendia goes into Bailey's position with McGinn going back onto the right hand side, and Jacob Ramsey on the left. Oh, absolutely, and that for me is that's the chef's kiss. I hope that happens, because if it does, I think that absolutely allows us to control the midfield at the weekend, and I definitely think that that is something that Aston Villa will try and do. John Steele says and reminds us as well that Aston Villa have won more games than Chelsea this season. Yeah, we've won 11, they've won 10, and we've both played the same amount of games. And one thing I think Aston Villa eking out 1-0 wins and 2-0 wins and stuff like that, or 1-0 wins, should I say, and 2-1 wins is great. We had a couple of games where our goal difference took a bit of a beating. We're still -4 at the moment, so it's just galling sometimes to see that you can't get ahead of Chelsea because they have a better goal difference than you. So like anything we do chip away on them at the weekend, if we do win, also kind of flips the narrative on that as well. It's almost a 6-pointer, if you want to call it, from that point of view. So it's going to be a really interesting game. I'm really looking forward to it. Now, saying that, Paddy, the last time, and I'm going to talk about expectation management. The last time we played Chelsea, sorry, not the last time we played them, but I remember last year we played Chelsea, should I say. It was last season, not last year. It was 2021, and I think it was August or September, and we played Chelsea, and Lukaku, we went to 3 at the back under Dean Smith. Do you remember that? And I was on the phone to you. I was doing the team sheet tantrum from the back of Mike DePuy's pub in Listowel. And and Villa held Chelsea miraculously in the first half, and I think it was whatever. But Lukaku kind of came into his own. What I'm trying to get at here is that you have to kind of when you play against this Chelsea team, you have to kind of legislate for the fact that they're always going to have quality, and it's a case whereby I'm delighted that our team is so settled at the moment that we should be able to deal with the expectation management that will be coming from Unai Emery and also from the fans, because I think the away fans are going to go there kind of rubbing their hands in glee going, we can have a crack off these guys. And isn't it a great position to kind of be in as well at the same time?
Absolutely. Look, we're being spoiled at the moment, but we're going to be spoiled even more as signings start to come in the door and Emery gets his men in. So look, we've got to treat these last whatever amount of games as a bonus and a learning process where Emery will come in and learn absolutely everything about the players that he has at his disposal, and we'll see who he wants to ship in and ship out come June, July, and it really is an exciting time to look forward to. And I find I'm not getting too up or too down about it. Obviously, winning is great, but I'm not as down about losing games. And not that we've lost too many, in fairness, but yeah, it's just look, we've got exciting times ahead. We'll enjoy letting him figure out who he wants to keep and who he can get a tune out of going forward. But yeah, we're going to see changes, obviously enforced now with Matty Cash. We'll see what way he manages this one. I don't see any other way other than Ashley Young come in there. and I've absolutely full confidence in it.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I've got an air of expectation, I suppose, about this, of hope and expectation. I think about this game at the weekend, and it's a later game. It's a 5:30 kickoff, if I'm not mistaken. Who's reffing it, Paddy? Did I see? Is there been a ref assigned to it yet?
There
How
is
come I always struggle to find referees?
Andrew Medley.
Andy Medley.
Yeah.
What you think, Paddy?
Well, I've given up talking about referees. It's pointless.
Same shit, different nappy.
Same shit, different nappy. Exactly. Yeah. What I found unusual is that they have them all named out for the next week or so. We've Graham Scott on Tuesday, and sorry, it wasn't. I thought there was one now for Forest. There's not.
No. We'll save our ire for the Forest, for the team sheet tantrum for Forest in front of the whole den, Paddy, because in case anybody doesn't know, myself and Paddy are going to be over to watch Forest, and I am licking my lips at that. And I'm licking my lips at this game as well, coming up, and also Leicester during the week.
We might need to stay well away from Villa Park to record it because we won't get any coverage on our phones.
Well, we did. Remember we came out of the chairman's meeting the last time, and we found out that young Tim was in the starting lineup, and we found the one spot just in between the door. So as you come in the whole pub, there's the front door, and then you kind of come in through a lobby, and then there's another door there. And I found if I stood right in that door, I had perfect reception. But if I went either side of it, it was absolutely gonzo. So at least we know one place we can get reception anyway if we need to do it. We just have to block everybody else coming in that door. Yeah. But yeah, listen, look, I think that's really going to kind of do us for tonight. As I say, it's an interesting game. I'm actually really liking Aston Villa Twitter at the moment. I'm really liking all the engagement you guys give us as well. There's an air of pride again about the club, and I've mentioned this before. There's an air of pride about the club. There's an air of fighters' chance that this club has as well, and that's come from recent results. Results speak for themselves, specifically under Mr. Emery. So long may it continue, and hopefully it continues into this weekend as well. So with that, everybody, I just want to remind you as well. Oh yes, actually, Matt Hanlon, thank you so much for your super chat. I really, really appreciate that. Next week, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a kind of scouting series on centre halves that might interest Aston Villa. I've got 2 or 3 in at the moment. If anybody has any suggestions for people you'd like me to look at, I've got one in already. I think his name is I can never pronounce his name. He's the Brazilian youngster from Almeria. Is it Keiki or Kaiki? I can never remember how to pronounce his name. Anybody got any suggestions for any of the scouting pods for any centre halves that you'd like me to do? And no, if you do suggest Nathan Collins, I'm not going to buy you a pint just because you know I love Nathan Collins, and I've purposely left him out of this centre halves scouting series because I do myself an injury watching him again.
He's not a centre half, but just to tell people that I watched Camavinga playing the other night in the flesh, and oh my god, for 20 years of age, is this guy a footballer? Oh, absolutely incredible to watch. A guy that's so switched on, moving with every pass, absolutely outstanding. One of the best players I've ever seen in that position. Some people around me didn't agree, but I just couldn't take my eyes off the movement of the man. Oh my god! So I hope he falls out with Real Madrid and we get to nick him in the back door. I could just imagine him with Boubacar Kamara letting Douglas Luiz move on a little bit and maybe alternate them every now and again. But if I had one signing to make, that would be it. Oh, I just thought he was absolutely incredible to watch.
Yeah, he was, and that was an enjoyable game actually. The Ireland-France game. When guess who nearly scored in the very last minute to level it up for Ireland? You got it, Nathan Collins, only for an absolutely wonderful save from the French goalkeeper. But it was a thoroughly enjoyable game, and Camavinga was really good. And
still irked with me that he could have been our player, Neil.
Who? Nathan Collins.
Nathan Collins.
Yeah, look, I mean, that would have been one of the other things we would have been saying. You know what? Stephen Gerrard wasn't half bad. That day he was sitting in his kitchen. Anyway, Anyway, we're going to leave it at that, guys. Thank you so much for all the support you've given to the podcast over the last couple of weeks. I know, when there's no football on, it can be difficult, and look, everybody has lives going on at the same time. So I thank you so much for all the views and listens and everything else, and the interaction over the last couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to this week. This week is going to be absolutely manic, but I'm going to love every second of it. So thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.